Okay, so far I've removed the vacuum control line which goes to the brake servo, removed the control line which goes for the climate control and heater control system, vacuum controlled systems at the back, and that also goes to the fuel pressure regulator as well. Next, I'm going to be taking off the this out, which is for throttle cable. Can be a little bit tricky with one hand, but you get the idea. This is held on with 6 bolts. This bit here, I'll be labelling up the HT leads which go to each of the spark plugs. And also I'll try to reiterate the issues that I'll be getting down here, because a lot of this stuff down here, if you can see that, it's quite old, and as you can see I've had to Jubilee clip on some of it down there, if you can spot that down there. And then once I can get to that, I'll show you underneath it. Okay, so I'm going to try and undo that bolt there, sorry, that Jubilee clip, and the other Jubilee clip you can just about see there. Okay, so now as you can see, it's free away from there. And I've undone these screws as well, all 6 of them. Okay. See if I can get this to stand there so I can show you. One inlet. What's extremely common on these is these fall apart. As you can see, my one is broken there, if you can spot that. But mine quite oily. I had these left over from a previous car that I bought. I bought a head gasket set and I used them out of there. But they do get quite badly coped up. As you can see, that's the injection rail. I replaced all these connectors here. They're quite common to break on these ones when you try to take them out. Well, every single one I've ever done, they always break and take them out. So by replace them ones, I can give you a link or a description of what they're called, and then you can find them, and then you can change them yourself. They're very, very easy to come out, and yeah, they took about half hour to do. I think the longest point was to try and get the inlet manifold off. What's very common on these engines as well is that these little plastic clips in here fall apart. On my one I had exactly the same reason, same problem, and they always break. So that's another thing you need to take into account. So the next task is to remove the lower inlet manifold so I can get to the rubber hoses. Them ones there, because they're underneath it and I can't get to them. So they can be replaced with silicone ones. There is a bit of a river of them in there. As far as I'm aware, there isn't any actually available for the ST. There is ST200, that is. I believe there is ones for the ST220. I'm not sure if they fit though. So we shall be trying to find some. I'm sure there are ones out there. Right, I better get cracking. Okay, so I've liberated that away from the block, as you can see, and here it is free. But what I wanted to show you is something which happens quite regularly on these, and it's this. As you can see, it's starting to break. See, they start to break. It's quite a common occurrence. Done it on that one there. These were I had these left over from a kit. It's quite common. I did it on the last ones. If I can try and show you inside, you can see that's cake crud in there. So's that one. So's that one. So's that one. So's that one. And that one as well. That's what the EGR does. It recycles the exhaust gases and then it goes back into these. That's what happens. Okay, so I've liberated these hoses off of where they go. That there is where the thermostat sits, and it goes onto that pipe there. That there goes to the heater matrix inside the car. The other one is there. Surprisingly, all these hoses came off rather easy. I was expecting it to be an absolute nightmare. I have done younger cars, a lot younger than this, and some of them you can't get them off. They're stuck on there. I don't know if it's inferior rubber or it's the type of alloy they use, but who knows. I was expecting it to be a lot harder than that to take them out. Right, what I wanted to show you is, see that bracket there? Well, that was attached to that there. That was the battery tray / distributor box tray. What I've done is I've chopped it down so there would be a bracket sitting here for the battery tray, but as it happens the battery's going to have to go into the boot. So what I did is, saving myself having to go and buy one, I'm going to cut that one down, weld a plate on it and then put it into the boot. What I'll try and do is I'll try and show that at some point, as then I can get it in the boot. Wires have been ordered, so once we can splice all these in and then they can be fired into the back of the car. So far I've just got all this hanging out here because I've got to do a lot of wiring, unfortunately. Wiring. So we've got all the wiring taken out of the car, and what we've been having to do is trace the wires from here and check to see where they go in corresponding to the wiring on the actual LIM itself, and make sure that it's actually good to use. What we've been doing is mapping the wiring, as you can see. The trouble you will probably face if you potentially want to do something like this is that Autodata doesn't have an up-to-date system on there, from what I can gather. which is a bit of a pain in the neck because they've assigned one thing and then did it on another, and it's been a bit of a nightmare to try and find them. I'll give you an example. If you see here where my finger is, 73, I've mapped it on the ECU connector, and it's actually been assigned to the injector as well on Autodata. I don't know if that is maybe from a different model car or maybe one from the States, but as you can imagine, it was rather irritating to find that because I thought we had a wiring fault, but it turned out everything is all good in this. There wasn't any high resistance, not as high as you would expect it to be or wanted it to be, so that was a good sign. Some of the connectors are a little bit caked up, but nothing that a bit of contact cleaner can't fix. Some of the sensors aren't going to be used on this anymore because we're going to map. For instance, we've got on this one here, we've got things like the extra side wiring that I created, which is for the inlet manifold control runner, which is that one there in my hand. And also there is another connector which is not going to be used anymore, which I believe is, where is it? That one there, which is this one. What that's for is the MAF sensor, and that's not being used anymore. So watch this space and I'll update as soon as I can.